What's up, everyone? So hopefully this video is the video. We are finally going to drive the TT. I got a couple more parts in. I kind of put them in place just to see what they were going to look like, but we got to take it all out again anyway. There we go. Nicest looking part of this engine bay now. I got the new silicone intercooler hoses, silicone radiator hoses. I just got some vacuum stuff to finish up. Aluminum dual core radiator. We're in good shape, so let's get started. Alright, so it is actually the next day, and I'm finally ready to put some water in the car. So we're going to go ahead and do that and make sure there's no leaks. I wanted to show you guys, I finally got one of these setups. If you don't know, so it came with a bunch of different fittings. There's all the extra fittings it came with for different size radiator caps. Well, basically what you do is you pick the one that works for you, stick this in here, you put this guy on, and you tighten it like you do a radiator cap, and then this funnel goes on top, and it's got a little stopper in it. So what you do is you pour your coolant or your water into here, and it raises the highest most point of your coolant to above the top of your motor. So 240SXs, I didn't have too much trouble with the NA300, but 240SXs are notorious for getting air bubbles stuck in the pockets, and they actually have a little bleeder screw up on the manifold here that you take out to kind of help with it. But the other thing you can do to help out is jack the front of your car up. So we're going to jack the 300 up a little bit more just to help out, and then we're going to put our water in here and see if we can get it going. I don't know. So again, what this thing does is it puts your water level, your cooling system higher than your motor. So as you can see, if you look from this angle, the radiator is much lower than the motor. So there's coolant passages that are higher than the radiator. So it's kind of a pain in the butt to bleed. Now my water level, my highest spot is all the way up here. So it helps to get the air bubbles out. I see a lot of people using them. It was like $23 on Amazon. So you can see it's still getting some bubbles out. And then obviously once we get all the air bubbles out, we'll just monitor this for a little bit and make sure that we're not getting air into the system like a blown head gasket. So, but right now the water's going down still, so we're just filtering out air bubbles, so we'll let that go for a little bit longer. Well, you know, I'm not saying anything for sure yet, but we could have a problem. Because, watch here, air bubble, bubble, but the water level's not going down. So we could have a blown head gasket or something of the sorts. With the water level not going down, but air bubbles still coming out, that means that some of the air that's being compressed in one of the cylinders may be leaking through to a coolant passage. We did do a compression check on this car when we first got it, and it wasn't great, but there wasn't any that were severely low. So again, conflicting results. We'll have to do a little bit of more investigation and see what we come up with. But yeah, air like that in the cooling system is not a good sign. So I guess we'll see what happens. All right, guys, so I'm back at it. Good news. The head gasket's not blown. As you can see, there's no more air coming out. What happened was, as soon as I ended the last video, I turned the car off, and as soon as I turned it off, all the water sucked down into the radiator. So it must have had some weird air pocket where the bubbles were coming out, but the water wasn't able to get in. So right now, it's supposed to take 10 liters of water, and this is what we got left of 3 gallons. So we're about right on 10 liters. So we should be all filled up now. And like I said, no more bubbles are coming out. So we're good there. I had to go get the 4-rib pulley off of the TT in the junkyard because I could not find a 3-rib belt that worked. But for anybody that wants to know, when you do an underdrive pulley on your car, the air conditioning belt I don't know about because I don't have an air conditioning, but the belts that I used are a 404 382, and that was the alternator and water pump belt, and then a 504 0350 is the power steering pump belt. So the lengths are 382 and 350, and both of these are 4-rib belts. So we got those all hooked up. I think everything's working. Getting ready to sit the car down, put the cap on, let the cooling system pressurize, and right now I'm trying to bleed the power steering, which sounds good. So we're gonna get that done, and then we're gonna get the car out of the garage. I do have a little bit of water here. I can't tell if that water is coming out of my cooling system or if it was water that was stuck in the engine bay or somewhere from when we pressure washed it. So, because there was water on top of my turbo on this side, but it wasn't wet around where the coolant lines are. So, strange. I have a feeling that water was just trapped somewhere in the engine compartment and it might have just puddled out here, but we'll keep an eye on that. I did just change the oil too, and the oil filter. The oil is as dark as night, but I don't see any bearing material or shiny or flaky or anything weird like that. It's just used terrible oil. So it's starting up really good now. Let's go ahead and give that a shot. Squeaky belt. But yeah, it starts right up. Idling at about 750 on the dime, which is what it should be. So body panels are kind of just still half-ass attached. I haven't attached the bottom of these fenders. The bumper's only kind of screwed in. I don't have any tail lights. My headlights aren't hooked up, but I think we're gonna go ahead and just give it a test drive and see how it runs. I'm just really anxious to drive this thing. So Holy Stromboli!
Pull it up.
Alright, so first test drive was successful. It is pretty fast, so I wasn't really paying attention to the speedo because my seats aren't bolted in, so I was more concerned with holding the steering wheel so I didn't like tip back in my seat, but it was pretty fast. And again, it should only be running on 7 pounds, but I haven't hooked up the boost controller yet to actually, the boost gauge to actually determine what it's running. So we'll hook that up later tonight or tomorrow. And I did figure out what the coolant line is. It's a rubber hose coming from the turbo on the passenger side. So we're gonna go ahead and get that repaired too once the car cools down, and then we'll be able to take it for a better test drive. I'm also probably gonna try to clean up the tail lights, so at least we have some brake lights. So yeah, stay tuned. Next video, I don't know what we're gonna do. Next video will probably be the drift event. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We have more work to do on the Drift 300. I have a steering angle kit to put on, and I also need to replace the rear shocks on my Nissan Frontier before we tow the trailer because they are shot. So stay tuned for that. That'll be the next video. And after that, we're going to get back to driving this thing. So stay tuned for body repair and other stuff like that. If you like my channel, like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit that little bell down in the corner so you know it tells you when my videos come out. That way you can like watch them like right away, because it's like super cool to be first in the comments, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, see you guys on the next one. Peace.